So you're in the middle of restringing your guitar. You got the strings off, you look down and you think to yourself, wow, that is the filthiest guitar I've ever seen. Well, what I'm going to do today is show you how to clean your guitar top to bottom with the strings off, because that'll give you access to all the difficult spots that with strings on you normally can't reach. So we got to gather some tools first. We're going to need 2 polishing cloths, a paper towel, just one piece of paper towel, guitar polish, fretboard conditioner, a straight edge razor, steel wool, very fine grit steel wool, and some non-tack, non-sticky tape, kind of like a blue painter's tape, or in this case, gaffer's tape. If you have all those things, your guitar's already sitting on the table with the strings off, we're ready to get cleaning. So, pour yourself a glass of water, start your favorite record, or put on your favorite podcast, and let's get cleaning. When you're cleaning your guitar top to bottom, you're gonna wanna start with the dirtiest, most dust-producing thing first, and then move to the cleanest thing. In this case, we're gonna start with scraping the fingerboard. As we play, gunk and dirt gets built up on the fingerboard, and it's very difficult to remove. There's a little disclaimer here. We're gonna be using a straight edge razor on your fingerboard, okay? This can be very scary. So if you wanna skip this step, you can, but if you've got dirt on your fretboard, you're not gonna wanna skip it. You're just gonna wanna be very, 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 3 varies, maybe a 4th, a 5th, and a 6th vary, careful when you do this step. You don't wanna press too hard, you just wanna get that fine dirt and grime off of there. So to scrape your fretboard, you're gonna wanna hold the razor blade perpendicular to the fretboard. You don't want it at an angle, because that leaves you open for maybe catching a little bit of the wood and taking that with you. You don't want to take any wood with you. We're just looking to get the dirt and the grime off. So we're going to hold the razor blade perpendicular to the fretboard, and then we're going to go back and forth. Now, I'm not putting any pressure down yet, because we want to use very, very light pressure and almost kind of let the pressure give just a little bit. Let the blade flex a little bit, because we're just scraping the surface here. So perpendicular, and we're going to go back and forth between the 2 frets. You don't want to see any of the fretboard material come with, you just want to see that dirt and grime get taken off. And you'll repeat that for every fret, just go on down the line. Nice gentle pressure the whole time. So you get the idea of scraping your fretboard. Now, once the entire fretboard has been scraped, you're gonna have a little bit of residual dust and such. Don't worry too much about that. You can just go ahead and blow it out of the way while you're doing it. Now we're gonna actually steel wool the fretboard. This is gonna bring back a little bit of shine and luster to the frets that can kind of dull after some time. I mean, remember, we're putting our hands on the fingerboard. Perspiration, dirt, grime, etc. builds up on the frets and they get dull. Okay, but the first thing we have to do before we even bust out the steel wool is tape off the guitar. You're gonna tape along the top and the bottom of the fretboard and then across the sound hole. This is gonna keep some of the kind of steel wool shavings or dust off the surface of the guitar, and it'll ultimately protect the finish in case you may slip. Again, this is non-tack tape. This is gaff tape, but you can also use a blue painter's tape. All you have to do to steel wool the fretboard is take a tiny piece of steel wool, about the width of the fretboard, and then just rub it back and forth on the fretboard. Now, be very careful. You don't want to put a ton of pressure here. We're just lightly dusting the fretboard, like so. Just very gently back and forth, just until you start to see those frets start to shine up a little bit. You'll really notice it way up on the neck, on the 12th, basically above the 12th fret, because those frets don't get a lot of action and they have the tendency to corrode a little bit quicker than the others. While doing this, you're always going to want to go with the grain of the fretboard. You never want to go this way, just because the fretboards generally are made out of wood and they have grain, and you don't want any weird scratches or anything going across. So once you're done steel wooling the fingerboard, your fingerboard has essentially been cleaned, but it hasn't been conditioned yet. We're gonna get to that step, but first, so after we've scraped, after we've steel wooled, you're gonna have a lot of residue on the guitar. Not only on the fingerboard, but on the face of the guitar, that area that we taped off. Since that's the case, we gotta get rid of that first. So the first step is to go ahead and remove the tape that we placed on. which since we use non-stick tape, shouldn't be a big deal at all. And then once the tape has been removed, take one of your polishing cloths. In this case, I'm going to use the one that I intend to throw away when I'm done because it's going to have a lot of abrasive material. And what I want you to do is go ahead and over the face of the guitar, lightly dust off some of the residual steel wool pieces and fingerboard gunk, and then fold it over and go along the fingerboard and get rid of some of that as well. We want that fingerboard to be dust-free when we condition it. What you're going to need to condition your fretboard is Fretboard Conditioner. Commonly, it's lemon oil. You can get it at your local guitar shop or even online. And you're going to need a piece of paper towel. Now, use your fretboard conditioner sparingly. You do not need a lot. In fact, I wouldn't put this anywhere near the finish of your guitar. Okay, this is just for the bare wood. In this case, it's going to be for the fretboard, and I'll probably use some residual on the bridge as well. Our focus right now is the fretboard. So we're going to take our fretboard conditioner, and with the paper towel in our hand, just put a little bit on the paper towel. Once you have a little bit on the paper towel, you're going to want to fold it over, and about the width of your fingerboard, you're going to just want to rub back and forth. Be careful over your guitar. You just want it on the fingerboard, not on the finish. You really want to work it into the fingerboard because this really helps the fingerboard remain healthy and conditioned, hence the name Fretboard Conditioner or Fingerboard Conditioner. That being said, this is not something you're going to want to do with every string change. This is a once a year, maybe twice a year event. Now that you've evenly worked that into the fretboard, you're going to want to let it sit just a little bit so it can soak it up. Usually what I do is with the residual oil, I head on over to the bridge and try and shine that up a little bit. But again, be careful because we don't want this on the finish of the instrument, just on the bridge. So once you've given that oil a little time to kind of soak up into the fretboard, take a dry paper towel, not the one that you just used, but a different one. I highly recommend the select a size feature on the paper towels because you can select a smaller size instead of a full sheet. With that dry paper towel, you're going to want to go over that entire fingerboard to kind of soak up any excess oil that may be remaining. And since I did the bridge, I'll head on over to the bridge and soak up a little bit of that oil as well. There shouldn't be too much on it because I just used residual from that previous paper towel. So I want you to take a step back and just admire the beautiful gleaming fingerboard that you now have in front of you. It's clean, it's got a little bit of luster, the frets are shiny. So far, it's just phenomenal work. It's fantastic. Now we're going to hit the body of the guitar. Well, we're not going to hit it because that's a scary thing to do. We're going to hit it with some polish. So take any guitar polish you get from your local music store. I prefer the Gibson pump polish. It's kind of my favorite one, but there's a lot of great ones out there from some great manufacturers. Just make sure that it's lacquer safe. Lacquer safe polish is essential. You don't want the polish, you don't want to use furniture polish or anything like that. Specific guitar lacquer safe polish. And all you're going to do is kind of from a little bit of a distance, maybe 6 to 12 inches away, just kind of spray it over the guitar. Just a couple of sprays. You can get some on the fingerboard, it's not the end of the world. And then with a clean microfiber cloth, you're just going to go ahead and wipe that guitar over. And this is the best part because you actually get rid of some of the gunk on the face of the guitar, and the guitar starts to smell good, it starts to feel good, it starts to look good. This is just a good moment because your guitar is about to be shiny again. And shiny guitars just look cool. We're going to do this on the top of the guitar, we're going to do this on the sides, and on the back of the guitar. So, here's a little disclaimer. If you plan on flipping your guitar over and you replace the bridge pins, guess what's going to happen when you flip your guitar over? Yeah, your bridge pins are going to go flying. So if you do flip your guitar over to do the back and the sides, just remove the bridge pins and place them on the table so you don't lose them. Bridge pins are notoriously lost. So after rubbing down the top of the guitar, make sure you've got all the polish off. You are pretty much ready to go. Next step, put strings on this bad boy, tune it up, and summon some wonderful tone fairies, because your guitar is going to look good and it's going to sound good. If you're about to do a little acoustic guitar maintenance, make sure you have the right tools before you get started. I've compiled a list of all the tools that I own and use, some of which are surprising little tricks that I've learned from my luthier friends. To get the list of my top 20 tools for DIY acoustic guitar maintenance, go ahead and click the link here in the video or in the description, enter your email, and I'll send it to you right away.